And now, more with Social Women, with your hosts, Pat Cruz, Amy Diaz, and Bronwyn Dannenfelser.
We are talking with Karlie Girouard of It's Right. All right, so fill us in a little bit on, the whole dating deal here and what you do and...
What I do is a very personal one-on-one matchmaker, so I'll try to find out not so much what people are looking for, where that's very important, but I want to find out where people come from. I want to know their background, their past dating experience, their expectations of how they see their life going, not what they want in another person, but what do they see for themselves. And then I try to make matches based on those similarities and our differences, depending on what people are looking for, of course, because not everybody seeks out somebody who's just like them. And that's what I try to find out. Are you the kind of person who seeks out somebody who's very similar to you, or are you the kind of person who needs somebody a little more opposite to round out certain parts of your personality?
So is it mostly men or women that you're working with, or do you really, is it
I definitely work both equally. Some people need more hand-holding in this business, and some people just need the introductions. Like, hey, here, Jill, here's John. What do you guys think? And some people like, all right, well, and the feedback is so key in my business. After each date, I want to hear what they liked and what they didn't like. So that's what makes me so different, is finding that feedback and finding out what did and didn't work, so that for the next person, that if that didn't work out, the next introduction, we're going to get closer to what they're looking for. And that's when I help a lot more men and women, because pretty much I'm trying to help people get out of their own way. Yeah. That's what's wrong with dating. People's tendency to get in their own way, overthink things, overanalyze things, and just don't know where to go forward. So that's what I try to do, is try to take some of that guesswork out of it and be like, all right, well, not only did I hear their side, I hear the woman's side, but I'm also hearing the man's side of what he thought. So I can be like, okay, I can see where we went a little off here and why things didn't work out. And, for the next time, from women is they want it all. They want the chivalry, of course, yes. And that's good, and they should have it. But what I'm hearing from the men is the women want it all, but they're not being receptive. They're not coming and saying, okay, well, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. And they want the men to take all the control over those first few dates, and they kind of should, but at the same time, the men are saying,
Did you hear that?
At the same time, the men feel like they're chasing these women with their, a lot of women today, we're so busy, and we're running around and we're doing 110 things all at the same time, every one of us, and they're not available. So the men are saying, okay, well, let's do something Saturday night. And they're like, oh, let me see if I can get that in.
My life.
And then they'll say, all right, well, how about Thursday? Well, if I rearrange a few things. And then they feel like the men are constantly feel like they're chasing. The women aren't available. Now, I'm not saying to women, drop everything and be available for men, because that's not going to work either. Because it's the new dating aspect. It's how people are changing.
Well, that's what we were talking about. I was asking in the green room, I said, I love this topic, and my husband and I talk about it a lot, but what are the gender roles now that they're switching? Women are much more liberated, but it's true, I think we do expect a lot, but how is that affecting the dating process, especially in women from, let's say, 40 to 60? And because there were gender roles, there was being a gentleman. Everyone says they want a gentleman. But how many times do we as women go bursting out the door before we allow somebody to open it up for us? So
that's so true.
It's shifting.
That
so
is
much.
so true.
And it's my mom brought this up to me the other night, because I was talking to her about it, and she said, sometimes somebody wants to do something nice for you. They want to open the door. And if you get there first, then you're removing that opportunity for them to do something nice. So it's one side of the spectrum. And, again, I'm not out in the dating world because I've got an awesome husband.
Good for you. Treat him right.
But I know it's tough out there. And the two of you can speak to this probably more because you're out there seeing what's available. What is available out there? Because it seems to be a complaint for most of the women that I talk to.
Well, I have to say, there are still some men out there that are ready to open the door.
Can you call 1-855-252-2020, please?
Yeah. No, there
Now.
are. We were talking to one in particular. No, there really are. So
when you meet somebody, don't think, oh, this guy's going to be the one. He might be the nicest guy ever. Be open to that new experience, because he might not be the one you end up with, but maybe his friend is, or maybe somebody he
That would go over
knows.
well.
I don't mean like if you're dating him. I don't mean if you're dating him, but talk. If somebody comes up to you and they approach you, say you're out at a restaurant on Federal Hill with your friends, and somebody comes to talk to you, and right away you're like, that's not what I'm looking for. He's not what I'm going for. Be open, be happy, be nice. Talk to him anyways, not because he's trying to get something, you're trying to get something, but just to be gracious, and I think that a lot of women today, they're so easy to dismiss, like that's not what I want. I can tell right away because I have all my experiences. And if it's somebody that you'd like to talk to some more, I don't want to say get that phone number or make that exchange so you can talk to them later on, but you're not really in that setting where you're going to be able to get to know them. So you do have to be able to decide quickly, is it somebody I want to continue conversing with, or is it somebody I just want to brush off? But you don't want to brush off the wrong person. So it's almost like being open to that new experience, but you do have to use, your own judgment as if you want to continue to speak with them.
Where do people go most often? So if they don't want to go to a bar, and they don't, are there places to, do you suggest volunteering at places? Do you suggest, because there's got to be men out there too who are going, I don't know where to go meet a nice woman who's, who I'm interested in. And I think there must be confusion on both sides because everyone wants intimacy.
Right. I love live music venues. If if you're going to like this particular band and you're talking to somebody who also likes that particular kind of music, then that's one thing that you have in common. So that's another place to go. Other places are, the wine tastings. I say definitely volunteer, with all of that,
I think
the walks and things like that were going on, because there are people, and you never know, like maybe you're talking to a married couple, but maybe their best friend, is somebody who you end up dating, so it's like, that's what I mean by being open to that situation. Like, no matter who you're talking to, you never know what that's going to lead you. It's the same thing with looking for a job. You never know what kind of conversation is going to get you to that next step. It's the same thing with a relationship. Take that step and say, oh, if it leads you somewhere, great. If it doesn't, fine. Take that next step. What's happening is they want to date men in their 50s, but the men in their 50s are, it's a cliche and a half, but they are looking to date younger. They're looking to date into the early 40s, 30s, even into their 20s, and they're perfectly great guys out there, and the women who are in their early 40s and late 30s and so on and so forth are saying, yes, these guys are great. I would love to be involved with them and get in a relationship with them, so it works. It depends on everybody's energy level and what that is. Men, they're coming out of these other relationships, maybe divorcees coming back into the dating market, and they've got all this energy, and they want to share it with somebody. And when I say, hey, I've got this great woman.
all this energy.
Yeah. That's what they say. It does turn around, and what happens is after about a year or two of trying to keep up with one of these younger women, they're finding that they can't so much keep up.
And a lot of times, younger, whether it's the male or female, whichever, a lot of times the ones who are younger are just younger.
Right.
And, they have so much more to experience.
Yes.
Where the other ones already have. So you kind of, trying to find that balance, but it's a little difficult once the playtime is over,
right?
And once that initial,
now what do you have?
Now what have you got?
Now what are we dealing with here? And that's when they start to look for something else, because it's the excitement is now gone. Oh, okay, and that's when people kind of move on to the next thing, and that becomes a problem because it's not making them happy in the long run, which is what everybody's really looking for.
Well, I think people in general I just jumped the gun.
That's okay.
All right. Well, actually, can you tell your story
Let's
in
hear
2 minutes or
one.
less?
Let's hear
It's
one.
perfect.
Come
and
on,
this
you've
goes
got a
back
few
to
of
our
them.
it goes back to our expectations.
Expectations. It's funny because you mentioned earlier, you can find someone at a walk or a nonprofit event or whatever it may be. Well,
I hope they're not on.
No. For the sake of this person, I hope you are not listening. And if you know who you are, please turn your computer off and the radio off and whatever it is that we're on live right now. So just not long ago, I met someone who we met at an event that we all had together. And he messaged me Facebook or my email, hey, let's grab dinner or drinks. Right. And I was like, whatever, sure. And I asked him, hey, where? Because at first he was like, I'll come pick you up. And I was like, I don't know you. I don't feel comfortable just giving you my address and letting you know where I live. So we'll meet somewhere.
Always meet somewhere, yes.
Exactly. Got to the restaurant. I valeted my car, went inside. He was already there. I was like, okay, he's on time.
Perfect. Good. Yep.
We sit down. We start talking. We have dinner, which was. I have a very dynamic personality, so you kind of have to keep up. But whatever.
That's why
that's
you are
not part
a
of the
social
story.
woman.
Okay.
Yes, that's not the main point of the story. So anyway, we're done with dinner, and our waitress comes by. She leaves the check, and it's out of habit. I always grab my purse, to grab my wallet, because
Right.
I'm whatever.
Being gracious.
Exactly, being gracious. I'm a lady, so I'm not gonna just assume that he's gonna.
Yep.
Hey.
Not in this day and age.
No, exactly. So
Right.
I start taking my wallet out, and he takes his card out. He puts it down.
Billfold thing.
Exactly. And doesn't say anything to me. No, oh, don't worry, nothing. So I
Right.
take my card and I put it down as well.
Yeah.
And the lady comes by and she asks, split this? He doesn't say anything. And I just look up and I'm like, sure, go right ahead. Well, she comes back, we leave. He doesn't drive there. He's like, let's go grab drinks.
Oh.
I was like, where's your car? He's like, oh, I walked. Car is coming. So we went out to drinks.
Yep.
And of course, we grab a couple of drinks. I'm drinking water by this time because I have work the next day.
Right.
He has like 3 drinks. And I'm like, okay, well, it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
Check comes.
Yep.
And figuring I'm going to have to pay for my own drinks.
Right.
I grab the check and I put my card in.
But you had water.
I had water and a glass of wine. Thanks, you shouldn't have.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's odd.
we need to talk about what we really mean. Do you expect somebody to pick up the check?
Well, I don't. I don't expect anyone to pick up the check, but we don't know each other. You ask me to dinner and drinks.
Right.
It's just, I understand day and age and everything else, but there's just, where is the line? Where do you draw
If
the
a man
line?
asks a woman out on a date and they say, hey, I'd love to take you out, then yes, they're most likely should be offering to pay. If you want to offer, like you put your card, you said you put it on the billfold or whatever it was when the check came. What I would have done is carry cash with you, even though I never have cash on me, so nobody ever has cash anymore. But if you know you're going out on one of these dates, have that, 220s and be like, hey, I'd love to offer you this, would you like half? And if they say, oh no, it's okay, you put it away, say thank you. If you go out for drinks afterwards, because we are in such a modern society, if they just bought you a nice meal, when you go to that restaurant, you say, I'd love to buy the first round. Get the first round, pay for it. Do not leave an open tab. That's how you get stuck in. He said he had 3 drinks.
Well, yeah. Well, I was at a bar where I'm very familiar
Right.
with the people there, so
So they're not going to charge you for that first drink, okay? In a standard situation, though, your regular situation, if you want to offer as being a woman of today's day and age, to go out, or if it's the first, you want them to pay for those first 3 dates, and they should, you rate it as gentlemanly. Pick up that next 4th time that you go out, or the if you go out for a lunch or any other meals or any other things, or offer to say, hey, I just got tickets, especially when things come across your path. So
I love things like that. So, really, for most of the women that I know, they are looking for that someone special to just, I'm sorry, old-fashioned or not. I think the majority of women that I know that are single in my age bracket, they
Right.
are still looking for that someone to just sweep them off their feet.
Right.
They really are. And I think the
And
guys
it can
are out there.
happen, yeah. 'Cause
They
you know
are
what?
out there.
If they're really into you and they're really having that feeling that they do want it, because if a man wants you, he's going to put up the effort. If he feels, all right, we can see where this goes, and they don't call and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then you know that they're just going for, well, I've got nothing else going on. If they're not pursuing you, then they're probably not as interested. But the biggest complaint I hear lately from men is that they'll do all the pursuing and it's not being reciprocated. And that's what that's what they're saying. Oh, all right, I asked her out 3 times. All right, I planned these 3 dates. You should plan
On behalf
the
of men,
next one.
yes.
Exactly.
Oh, they'd be afraid if I were going to plan a date. They would be afraid.
And they should. They shouldn't be afraid. What do you mean they should
They
be
would be
afraid?
Why is
afraid.
that, why is
I
that,
wa-
Pat?
Yeah,
A
what would you
date?
plan?
Oh,
I mean,
no,
they'll
I
just be
need
afraid
like
of the date?
Full-on romantic date. Full-on romantic
Well, guys
date.
can do romance. It's just
I know,
what?
but I'm just saying if the guys
show
are
'em how to
planning the
do it.
first few
Then he'll know
and
what
they
you
leave it
like.
up to the woman to do, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, they're in big trouble because I want a full-on romantic date. Just a nice, beautiful date with someone. Have a good time.
Yep.
Hand holding.
Yep.
hand holding, fireplace wine, the whole bit.
Right.
Anyway,
This is like, I think that we could talk about this forever.
I know
and ever.
this is a huge segment that,
It is. It's
and we put it out there. I put it out there this week on Facebook to say, okay, guys, what do you want to hear about?
Right.
So the majority, a lot of people,
Good.
relationship.
You know, if there are people that were listening and they have suggestions about a good place where, that they go out and they see people about town that, and they want to give some feedback as well, we'll take it, right?
Yes. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
are you kidding? Absolutely.
I've been really recommending that Feet. Have you heard about the new music venue that's in Providence?
What is it?
It's Feet, Fete, and they
No.
have two. It's just opened
Olneyville, right?
in
You're in
Olneyville.
Providence.
Yep.
Yes, Olneyville. I have heard of it.
So they have a nice lounge area that has jazz and reggae and all different musical
is that?
genres.
Where is
it's,
it?
It's in Oneyville.
Where is that?
I believe it's near Wes's.
Oh,
but
that's
Some
the one
people-
that used to open up at, like in the middle of the night.
No, it's a different building altogether. I hear they put millions of dollars into it, and it's beautiful. They have a lounge and then a ballroom, and they want to
A
compete.
ballroom?
Yep.
We'll put the
Really?
website up on our website. And
We
I
may
think
have to
some
go
people
check it
might
out.
pronounce it FET.
Can we
too,
go-
Oh,
but
is it fat? Oh, I
think so.
apologize.
I think so. Well, I think people pronounce it both ways, but
Can we-
we have to go.
That makes more sense.
I'm so bummed about this. Thank you so much
You're
for being
so
with
welcome.
us.
Thank you for having me.